Starting off pretty textbook. Mousesports saying, okay, what do you leave open last game? Fizz? What are we never going to leave open again? Fizz. Gambit Gaming replied with pretty standard way of picking matches so far.
Make sure KirmiShot doesn't get on a priority champion. Ban away the Fizz, ban away the Gangplank, have banned away the Flex picks once again by Gambit. No change from them at all throughout this series. Haven't needed to change anything. Elise will be the final ban. That leaves up both mid laners this time.
Yeah, I would have liked to see just the first pick and pressure on Betsy's champion pool. If you didn't hear when we talked about it earlier at the end of the last game, the way these games have been playing out is Betsy has been consistently pushing in mid lane, then allowing Diamondprox to move into the enemy jungle, and that in turn allows Diamondprox to babysit KirmiShot until it's so far ahead that nobody can stop him from pushing or freezing lanes, and that puts so much pressure on Mousesports, and that all starts in a sense with Betsy pushing in and then Gambit playing around their top laners so well in these lane swaps. So ironically, standard lanes might actually be better. Mousesports say, okay, we really don't want to get the Azir, so we'll likely see an Azir Victor matchup here in the mid lane. That is still in favor of the Azir pushing in, so finally Mousesports should have the push in the mid lane.
Janna was the final ban as well, so Gambit Gaming have left with both mid laners. The first one will be going over to Mouse, that will be the Azir. What was not banned out by Mouse, which they did in the previous series, was Olaf. So that is a possibility for Gambit Gaming in the jungle or top lane even, or even support. But they are hovering over it. No indicator if they're going to lock it in though. They have a lot to choose from. They can pick 2 power picks here.
Yeah, Braum has been completely neglected in the series, so it's not worth mentioning anymore. We've seen high priority in Kalista, we've seen high priority in Thresh, so it could be a Kalista Thresh coming out of Gambit Gaming. Maybe they want to try and play around Pinoy more so this time. They want to lock in the early Olaf. Peculiar perhaps, Mousesports play too. Finally, we see some Braum. Braum Azir or as a 2 champion pick combo for mid lane support. I love so much. There's so much zone control coming out, so many options aggressive defensively. Gambit looking to just run in and stampede over this Mousesports lineup, especially with that Olaf. Let's see if they can supplement that with some good picks for these strong team fights, or if Olaf will just 1v1 split push in the end.
Yeah, well, you got your wish. That's the Braum and the Tristana as well. Fantastic lane in the bot lane from Mousesports. We'll see if we can use it though with Zed in the mountain.
Yeah, Tristana does incredibly well into Kalista, probably the best pick you can pick into any Kalista lane, especially if you have the Braum defending to block some of the autos to prevent the maximum rend damage going down, and removing some of that counter damage. Really big damage, especially if you get 4 hits with the E upper ulti you hit. That's pretty much enough to one-shot Kalista, so you might actually see Gambit swap away from that for once.
Again, the disco ball is being hovered over. We're not going to see it today. Thinking about what to pick up in the mid lane, also potentially leaving out the top lane for the counter pick as well. Gambit Gaming back on that red side. It will be the Victor to match up the Azir. The mirror is complete in the mid lane, and Fresh as well will be going for the support. So last pick will be that top laner, or they can even flex that Olaf.
Yeah, very expected draft here from Gambit Gaming, aside from maybe that Olaf pick, but there's a reason Mousesports was banning it over and over. We see Gambit value it very highly. The rest of the picks kind of predictable. If you go Kalista first, very likely that Ghost of Pepper will pick up Thresh second. Victor and Azir mirror, one picks one, the other one picks the other. Now looking to see what Mousesports will complete their lineup with. Is Binsu finally going to play some carry-oriented top laner? Looks like hovering Maokai again. Really hope he just goes for some damage. However, this time is the only time I actually would allow him to play tank, because you have a very good double damage composition already. 180 heavy damage, 180 heavy damage, good zone control. You can really pick a tank here and allow your team to just control the front line. Shred to the front line first and then get to KirmiShot later if he's split pushing, or just immediately blow him up with enough.
Oh, as well as the Maokai is the dance special. It's Rammus. He used to pick this so long ago. I remember seeing this in the Face of tournament in 2014 when he was playing with Unicorns. It was that long ago. But Dan, picking up this Rammus, can he make it work? The curveball, you can see Eddie's face, doesn't know what to make of it.
Okay.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know, man. If Victor goes cleanse and Olaf is Olaf, you can only really taunt the Kalista. Even if you taunt Thresh, he will be Fate's Call. I know it's a pocket pick, but even read on Reddit of I think his name was Harry Abs, top laner, 1000 LP right now, that really wants to get into the American LCS, and he used to be known for Rammus. And he has 1 ranked game this season so far on Rammus. So even the most passionate Rammus players are saying he is quote-unquote garbage right now. So Dan, you will have to amaze me, just blow me away, change my opinion of this pick, because overall, not a fan. So much he could have done here. So many picks were open. Just pick Gragas. Then you have a beautiful composition, beautiful meta composition. You have double tank disengagement. No, you go for just an okay pick on the Rammus. And then on the other side, Gambit Gaming round out the composition with the Rek'Sai. They take that as their jungler. Pretty straightforward what they want to do as well. Just let the Olaf run amok and then just have a lot of damage threats. Really, really keep your eye on mid lane, see how that push battle turns out here.
Yeah, and Olaf was banned out against Cabashot. Maokai was banned out against Binsu in game 1. So these two banned top laners, what can they do with it? We've seen Binsu pick up the Maokai a bunch of times before, and Challenger has done very well with the champion. So we only have a little time left before we get into this one, Krepo.
With Emperor's Divide, Jhin should be able to fend for himself in teamfights, especially if Braum is helping him should he ever get caught. This should free up Binsu, especially early home guards teleports. Just go around and flank and take away either the Kalista or keep Betsy busy while Olaf is charging at your team. That could be a viable strategy for Mousesports. They have the tools to really deal with the engage from Gambit Gaming and the necessary kite and peel to keep their double threat composition alive. And then in the middle of that, they can have Rammus just roll around. And Dan just switched to teleport at the very end. You guys can see that he's playing teleport smite. Rammus just confirming that it actually went through. Yeah, teleport smite. So
home guard, boys.
Sprinkling some cheese.
Yeah.
This potential final game. Best of 5 here for an LCS spot on the line.
For the potential last time today, update your vote on Twitter. Combine those two words. Do that on Twitter as well. Tweet at LOL Esports using the hashtags MOUwin or GMBwin. We'll be checking out throughout the game on what you think at home. But can Dan bring glory to the Armadillo? We're about to find out as we head into Game 3 of this best of 5 between Gambit and Mousesports.
All glory to the Armadillo. Dan the man, can he do it? Can he be the hero that his team needs?
Welcome to Summoner's
Potentially deserves. What is he gonna do? Let's follow Dan in his early quest for farm.
How much armor does he have? There was an old cheese build where you just go literally flat armor because it converts into AD from your passive as well. He's got a bunch of it, almost 70 armor at level 1. And Gambit will take away his ward, and Dan will waddle away into the top side of his jungle.
So complete mirror start where you have the typical 3 deep wards being placed to at least be able to react to lane swaps. Looks like Gambit really want to find favorable lanes for them. Alright. Should net them enough information to judge the early game. However, on the other side, Mousesports will do the same. We'll have to see who is baiting whom here and how this all plays out.
Yeah, lane swap wards have gone down. Haven't covered the base gate, but actually still with that ward they have done, so that's fine from Mouse. Sejun sat in this top lane, looking for that information from the level 1 in Gambit.
The mind games. Look at Mountain passing over that ward on purpose.
Recall?
And then recall. But it is kind of obvious because Gambit just walked everywhere in that jungle. They've seen everything and then they see the support going over. This is the mind game that's been done before, therefore it's actually predictable that Mousesports bot lane will end up in the top lane, and it does look that Gambit is actually migrating there to match this lane to keep Cabashot in Evil lane. Now it'd definitely be sure because they find Sejun on the red buff. There are more members here in that red buff too. Very peculiar early start. Betsy's actually peeling off. No, and then he decides to go back to mid. So confusion around, but Gambit's bot lane will be first to lane, get an experience advantage. Look at where Mountain is on the map right now. He's trying to get back to top. We see the double jungle start on the bottom side of your map for Gambit, but instead of having to send Cabashot to teleport top, he can simply run down to the bot lane. Clear out the remaining of that blue buff I can see on your minimap. Just gonna check whether he actually got the blue buff himself. Yes, he did. Cabashot picked up blue buff because Rek'Sai doesn't really need it for her clear. He gets both camps, doesn't opt to go straight to the lane instead. Just get some extra potions here. He's going into lane with blue buff. And again, Gambit Gaming is putting Cabashot ahead of the team. Farm priority number 1. It's even going into the jungle right now. He even gets a blue buff right there, and in top lane, Gambit's bot lane should be fine because they got the first 2 lane and they have the 2v2 advantage now. Yeah,
and Cabashot is in that 1v1. He's got that blue buff. There's actually a build I've been seeing that Huni's been running in solo queue where he basically goes back, picks up a ton of mana potions with the blue buff as well. Cabashot going to be spamming his undertows constantly on Binsu. What's he going to do?
Well, use his passive, hopefully dodge enough axes and get that passive from Maokai to sustain, but again, the pressure will be on Cabashot. Dan clearing out his jungle, approaching level 3, and we'll have to see if he can roll in anywhere. Unluckily for him, his mid lane finally is the one pushing, and as Ramons, it is now impossible to find a gank. Only counter ganks are available for him, so he'll have to read Diamond procs.
Yeah, and remember they have the cleanse in the middle lane as well as the death sentence lands onto Mountain, but still the pressure is being exerted by Cedrin and Mountain in the top lane, looking for the dive in the bottom lane. Preemptive teleport now coming down as well for this two-man defense. Of course, it's Dan into the bottom lane.
So Dan last game couldn't be in the quadrant where Pizza was getting tower dove. So his solution to that was simply running teleport. No matter where he is on the minimap, he will always be ready to prevent the dive. A beautiful adaptation here from Dan, fixing that. Or he could have just predicted the gank and pathed there instead. Now we see Diamond Prox from bot going to mid, setting up for a potential gank because now Jinch is exposed for the first time in the series as pushing early.
Yeah, looking for this gank to happen. Diamond Prox, well, he knows the teleport's down from his opposing jungler, but Binsu taking some damage in the bottom lane. Actually engages on top of Kapashard, and Dan is still in the bottom lane. He's set up a 10. He's ready for blood. He gets the taunt down. The auto attacks are coming in from the Armadillo, and he turns around.
Yeah, obviously no flash on Dan, so after he connects there, you can't flash an axe because you're literally not running flash. Miscommunication there though, and now Diamond Fox can come in and pressure. We saw how Binsu committed for that CC play before Dan was in his power ball. You really want to wait 1 or 2 seconds to get Rammus the initial speed up, so when he does reveal himself in vision, he can close the gap quick enough before Olaf can get this relentless damage on top of you. Cabochard handled that gank 1v2. Now Diamond Prox can just move in, add some pressure and poke out. Obviously dangerous to die this against Wizards Advance that can dodge some damage, but overall, Gambit's in control. Cabochard is pushing. He's forcing these guys back 2v1. Diamond Prox wants more.
And Binsu is left by himself. Diamond Prox will just flash on top of him for the first blood with that red buff. Dan had already gone back to base. That was too easy.
Yeah, way better communication and team play overall from the top jungler duo out of Gambit as opposed to Mouse. The difference couldn't be any bigger here. That teleport bait could have worked so well and could have completely thrown Gambit off. There's no way they were thinking about Rammus teleport suddenly defending tower. Even if you see it in the loading screen, guarantee you will just forget it. But then, too easy, too sniffed out, and good patience and no overcommitment. No panic from Gambit overall, and again, Cabochard is 37 CS to Binsu's 19, doubling the CS already at this point in the game.
It was calculated, and every single lane is ahead on Gambit right now. Mid lane, bot lane, dual lane, everyone. And Dan will just have to go back to his jungle. We'll be probably trying to get towards those home guards as fast as possible. Had gone for the Stalker's Blade first as well, that slowing smite, and is also waiting for his teleport to come back up.
Yeah, and overall, Gambit's bot lane being able to get into this top lane first really helped that matchup as well. We see a slight CS lead here over on the side of Pinoy. They're not losing those trades. No concussive blows have been procced really to win that trade, and this is a difference. As time progresses and the series goes many games further, Gambit have been equalizing and slowly pulling ahead, even in the 2v2. So there's almost nothing that speaks in favor for Mouse anymore. Mid lane is bang on even in terms of CS, even the pressure's evening out. Once Victor hits level 6 and he can upgrade that laser to just have more damage to the minions and he gets some ability power, he can start clearing those waves immediately, and Azir's push advantage kind of disappears. That will just be a neutral lane. And because Diamond Prox is already ahead, he doesn't even need his lanes to push anymore to invade Dan, because Dan, level 5 on Rammus, no flash. Gonna be incredibly hard for him to find ganks.
Yeah. And honestly, the biggest way of doing so will be those home guards. From what we've seen before, that's what Dan will tend towards to try and make that Rammus work. But as you mentioned, without flash, you can't flash bump, you can't get over minion lines. Everything will stop you on the way.
Can't get this champion rolling at all.
No, they see him rolling, and they are hating in this game, Krepo. But Diamond Prox heading into the bottom lane has found Maokai.
I mean, this is a familiar sight, honestly.
Oh.
Diamond Prox camping that lane, and he doesn't even have to kill anybody, just adding the pressure just to avoid Cabochard getting 1v2'd. Now Cabochard can initiate a proxy if anybody shows up. They're no longer fighting under tower range to get those extra damage, and yeah, Cabochard barely takes any damage here from these creeps, and this is such a bad position to be in if you're Mousesports. As long as Betsy can peel off in time to match the Azir roam, then Gambit is fine doing this. Now they add the pressure, they're gonna peel back to him, we're not gonna use this matchup anymore. Let's pick up an early dragon. They're probably gonna hand off blue buff to Betsy afterwards. And in the top lane we see Pinoy and Ghost Pepper facing. It could be very well possible that they're just gonna migrate to the bot lane to add some third pressure to this entire ordeal and send Cabochard top to widen that gap in CS between him and Beaton.
66 farm on him. He's actually going to walk back into the bottom lane, and the dual lane is going to return to the top lane. Both bot lanes went back. Pretty standard. Cedric went for the BF sword. Bilgewater Cutlass picked up by Pinoy as well.
Yeah, this is a very, very hard point in the matchup, Tristana between Kalista, because unless you farm until BF Pickaxe, that could be the biggest disparity, because BF Pickaxe is still finished before Blade of the Runic King is finished on your opponent. If you're getting equal amounts of gold income, that is the roughest part. BF into Cutlass is still a very rough part, so this could be the opening for Mousesports. They have a lot of sustain on Gambit, but they're very prone to all-wins because there's so much damage out of that Tristana explosion coming in, or they could straight up lose their tower. But so far, Ghost2Pepper has been positioning aggressively to really not allow Mousesports as a dual lane to really punish Pinoy.
So Dan is looking to follow up onto this red buff that was taken at that level 1. He managed to avoid the Sentinel as well, which was roaming through the jungle from Pinoy. Now, in comes down, Prox looking to secure this. He knows they're there, but he has the Tremor Sense. It's being smited away by Dan. And Ghost2Pepper, there's a good ultimate from Braum coming in, but Betsy comes in from the middle lane and annihilates his target with his ultimate. Binsu now comes into the fight. He's like, hey guys, where are you? Not here anymore. He manages to pick up a kill onto Ghostu before he goes down, but that ends up being a 3-for-1, and the red buff just went back over to Gambit.
Yeah, sadly for Mousesports, the fact that Mountain moved into that jungle actually gave it away. It telegraphed that Gambit was about to be robbed of a red buff. You don't really do that. You don't make the Russians angry. They will punish you for it, even though the star player of their team is now French. Cavushard, they really collapsed on that, and Betsy was first to that fight. Now Betsy's first to Jinch.
Yeah, he will be flashing over the wall. There's the ultimate, the Emperor's Divide, slamming into the wall. The soldiers will be staring at that wall, and will be backing away. Dan taking away this tunnel, and that's that.
Yeah, Dan uses another teleport with no impact. His tower is left alone for Cavushard and Betsy to siege on, and that sheer amount of damage from that laser and that Chaos Storm was enough to turn that fight around before Binso could even land. Honestly, again, a late teleport from Mousesports. If you're gonna go for that play, you have to be ready for the fact that it could easily become a 5v5, and you have to make the move first. Cavushard wasn't even close. He teleported top, and he zoned away Cedrion from that fight, so the 4v4 was convincingly won from Gambit. Testament to that is that the fact that Jinch wasn't even in that fight. Even though he had a slight push on the mid lane, it wasn't enough to really rotate first. And that's indicative of Mousesports lacking communication. You can't make those plays and then let Gambit be the first ones to react, because Gambit, a better team, will just annihilate you in even numbers. And they're pulling ahead right now, 2,500 gold ahead, already 11-minute mark. That is massive. That is a big gold lead.
Yeah, even with this early game advantage, Mao's going to find it harder and harder to get into this game. This time they have scaling versus the other compositions they ran. They have the Azir, they have Tristana. But look how defensive every single lane has to play. This duo lane even, which was winning out before and had that opening to potentially open up a lead in the top lane, is just being zoned away. Ghost2Pepper lands that death sentence onto Mountain, the double flay onto Cedrion as well. Have a rend while you're at it, and chunk down to 20%, more like 40. Masters hard. Cavushard following after onto Binsu. Just have those undertows coming down. Dimeprox now coming into this bottom lane, but Dan is there. He did read this gank at least. Top lane once again, the death sentence landing onto Mountain. Comes in with the ultimate as well onto Pinoy. He's going all in onto this play. The Fate's Core is used and the knockback onto Cedrion. Turning around, landing those autos. Has to back off. That's the auto attack coming in for Cedrion. He gets that first kill, and it should be an easy pickup onto Ghostu for the next. He's going to flash into the jungle of Mouse. Pumps down the box. He's going to stop the chase route coming in from at least Cedrion. But Mountain is there, and he wants to kill his enemy support. Ghost2Pepper, all he can do is donate this to the support.
Yeah, that is the hard part of this matchup. If Concussive Blows gets applied on Pinoy and he's in range to eat that stun, then things get rough, because the follow-up damage, especially at this point in the game, just means so much. Let's watch that again here. Mountain eventually gets one stack on Pinoy, and then once he gets that, he immediately turns on the fire with the ultimate. Once you have 2 CCs coming in, there's not enough damage to tear through Mountain before Cedrion tears you apart. Really good interrupt here by Ghost2Pepper, interrupting the jump, denying his damage, getting some return damage. Passive actually fades, but gets reapplied there. And then, yeah, flash auto to get it. Ghost2Pepper stalling here, but overall, that is a hard part of this matchup, especially level 6. It is almost impossible to beat from Tristana in that sense, because there's just so much damage coming out of it.
Still, it was nice to see that 2v2 outplay coming in from Mouse's bottom lane, Mountain and Cedrion. The bot lane, we said, always goes even, always goes neutral. This time, picked up an advantage in the last game, picked up 2 kills right there in that 2v2, good to see.
But at the same time, that was Pinoy and Ghost2Pepper slightly overstepping the boundaries. They could have easily played backwards, play with Lantern a little more. First, Ghost2Pepper gets the threat over him. If Pinoy tries to counter-train instead of stepping backwards and Fate's Call, this lane technically should never die. Going for a pick here on Binso, who connects, Lantern comes out, but the distance is too big. Just gonna get that tower. Thresh Kalista, in a sense, is just so safe because you can yo-yo each other out of the lane. Whether you step backwards and Lantern Glista out, or you Fate Skull, throw Tesh backwards and get out. You can even put the Lantern down first. The tether will not break in Fate Skull, throw Tesh over the wall, and so you pull yourself with your ulti. So there's so much escape potential unless you commit to an all-in fight against this lane. I think Gambit learned their lesson, and they're just gonna play it a little more safe to look to close out this game.
Yeah, I mean, they're ahead in towers, they're ahead in the first dragon, and now fighting over this blue buff. Dan kind of forgot about his existence for the last 5 minutes, has not really been impacting the map too much at all, really. 38 farm on him, just been going through his jungle, waiting for his time. Has the teleport back available, has the Stalkers, gone for that Cinderhawk, and has only now picked up the boots as well.
And Bessie yet again already at the tier 2 tower, while his tier 1 tower is still alive. Look at the vision control that Gambit have acquired in this bottom side of the map right now. They're challenging Mousesports as they step in. They're playing with full information right now. Every move that Mousesports make will be predictable and in nearly full vision from Gambit. So barring any major positional mistakes, they should be in control to start sieging these tier 2 towers this early in the game. And that honestly is testament to their fantastic shot calling and just how well they prepared for this match.
I also feel we're in another situation where we're saying, well, look, Mouse need to get these flanks. You definitely need to go as Ramesses. You can't just go through the front door with him. And that's always going to be a problem for Malice because they never have the vision control. As Jins has been caught out here, takes a lot of damage, is dropping low, but is still alive. Diamond Prox now has been caught out, stunned down by the passive from Mountain. He also stays alive. Everyone drops low, but ultimately no one is dead yet. But KabaShot has joined the party. He will make sure people will be going down this time. 2-0 so far for Gambit. How much more can they get? Well, a double kill in for the bro Zerka. 3-0.
And at what point does Bravado turn into overconfidence? Gambit Gaming, they start that fight 2v4. That was only Diamond Prox and Betsy trying to catch out Jinj on the rotation, put him to 1%. KabaShot took the leisurely route. He finished cleaning out that wave, looked around, said, okay, you guys are fighting 2v4. I'll eventually walk in and clean up this fight. But that was literally Betsy and Diamond Prox controlling 4 members, canceling that dragon on their own, while Pinoy was not even in that fight. Eventually Ghost Pepper joined, tried to steal a kill even to take it away from Diamond Prox's hard-earned work, but overall Gambit, they're just toying with their opponents at this point.
Yeah, Mouse needs to shake it off. I'm not sure if they can do so though. KabaShot, he's found Beansuit, charges into him, gets him with the Arcane Smash, but the undertows, they're gonna hit you, and they're always going to connect. Once again, just clearing up the minion wave has been revealed by the 2 wards going down from Gambit. And Mountain and Dan, there's a big commitment into the top lane.
And again, Gambit with perfect vision. They have deep vision in the red side, or in the red side of Mousesports. They spot them coming in and listen. If they don't see them, they know that they're exactly in that one path they could possibly take. KabaShot doesn't greed, doesn't overcommit, just pokes him out, keep up the pressure, and then once all lanes start pushing in, then when he has all that information, he can go for the all-in on Beatsu.
Now, Ragnarok has been used, doesn't connect the last undertow, but still does not want to be diving that turret without having sight on Dan. He was turning the corner on that one, so doesn't go all the way in for that kill. KabaShot still so far ahead of this lane, though, of Beansuit. We're in another situation where Beansuit cannot deal with KabaShot. Yeah,
we've yet to see Mousesports make use of one or both teleports, really, to set up an advantageous play. So far, it's been Gambit in the driver's seat, reacting to the plays as well. The few times that Mousesports is proactive, Gambit just shows that they're better reactive. In all the other cases, Gambit's proactivity is netting them many gains in the form of potential towers. 4 towers to 0. Complete map control, complete map domination from Gambit coming out of here. They're right now 8,000 gold in the lead in this final game in this best of 5 for an LCS spot. And Gambit showing that not only do they want to get back into the LCS, they want to style on their opponents and they want to prove that they did deserve to be at least in playoffs. They argue top 4, that is debatable, but the way they're playing right now can be argued for. Still rate Rocket above them, but we'll see, those are all hypotheticals.
Well, they're making a point in this game, that's for sure. Just saw every single member have a pink ward a couple seconds ago. 2 of them have gone down. All of that gold has been converted into even more vision to just snowball this game even harder. 17 minutes, and we're almost looking at the horizon of a 10,000 gold lead. The middle inhibitor tower is being sieged in. Gosu Pepper just looking for hooks for days. Mountain looking for disengage though. The Glacial Fish are coming down. Diamond Prox is on the front lines. No one could chunk through him though, and KabaShot picks up the first kill onto Cedrian, or rather onto Mountain, and Diamond Prox will pay for that with his life. So it turns out to be a 1-for-1, maybe biting off a little more than Gambit can chew right now.
But overall, 1-for-1 trading, Mousesports is happy with that because, well, they actually just didn't get ace in that fight. But overall, Gambit is okay with that because they open up half of the HP of the mid lane tower. Once that falls, they can easily move in and sweep the remainders. They can also take it slow, wait for Baron to spawn, wait for the third dragon. We're only 18 minutes in and Gambit is already sitting on 2 dragons with the next one spawning roughly 3 minutes from now, I believe. So overall, comfortable position. Just keep dropping the wards. Again, the biggest change for me for Gambit this series is that their vision control finally has a purpose and it's been playing around. Gaiman Prox got the critique that he was actually just over warding or not warding efficiently, or Gambit as a whole were not using his wards to the benefit. We've seen more synergy between different pairings of Gambit Gaming. We've seen Cabashard and Diamond Prox reassure that they're still a good duo. That's why Cabashard got so far ahead. But we've also seen Diamond Prox group up at times with Ghost Pepper and really get that support jungle duo that is so mandatory to have overall in the current League of Legends landscape, and it has been improved. So props to Shans for really doing that, and it came out in interviews as well. Gambit, a couple of members said we weren't a team, but now we're being taught how to play as a team, even if we didn't, get along personally earlier in the stages. We're learning how to play as a team, and it's very satisfying.
Yeah, very impressed by what Shans has done with the team and what he's done so far. Hanoi was just camping in that bottom bush there as well. Wasn't able to get anything just yet, but just needs to wait it out, honestly. Gambit just need to play this slow now. They don't need to make any big risks because every lane is so far ahead. Cabashard pushing in this top lane. He can win 1v1. He can probably win 1 versus 2 as well. Diamond Prox coming in just to make sure the odds are always in his favor. Mountain and Cedrian in this bottom lane. The rest of the team behind him as well should be able to defend this turret for at least another wave. Not they recall. Binsu has to flash away at full HP away from that top turret.
Yeah, Dan rolling in, eats the laser, turns around and says, okay, I can't do anything here. Meanwhile, Binsu getting 1v2. It is the story of the game. It plays out in the early game, in the mid game, and now it's playing out, well, I was going to say late game, but we're only 20 minutes in this series with Gambit hitting tier 2 tower in the
Here we go!
Then gets hooked.
And that was the play that had to make something happen. Cedrian drops low, Mountain as well. The bot lane is down. Dan also trying to disengage Jit. He gets pulled back into Gambit. They take him down. That's a triple kill for Diamond Prox in the jungle. Dan isn't getting away either. He goes down for the 4th kill of the fight, if you can even call it that. And only Binsu is alive to defend this turret.
An absolute slaughter for Gambit and Gosu Pepper. Reminding people why he was sometimes called the Thresh Prince. Obviously easier if you're this far ahead, but yeah, he's handling a lot of clutch hooks. Sped up Rammus. He did his math. If Rammus leaves his base at this amount of speed heading to the bot lane, at what point do I cast
At what velocity?
At what velocity do I need to throw out my chain? And it does indeed connect that hook. And overall, Gambit did their homework. Edward did his homework. Diamond Prox needs to get out of there, but it looks like it might be the sacrificial Rek'Sai.
Yeah, we'll be going down here. Well, he got a triple worth. Binsu now coming in, might be able to connect another concussive blows onto Betsy. Should be able to get the stun off, or not quite. He's just out of range and just too fast for them. And that's a 1 for 0. They do get something on the retreat, however.
Look at the smiles on the Gambit Gaming player counter. Like, haha, you died, you're behind. If you can be that relaxed in a setting where you're playing for your rebirth into the LCS, that means you have a comfortable lead in the series. And Gambit do indeed have that. They're 12,000, 13,000 gold up right now. It's at the point of the game where you're trying to sell your teammates. You throw the lantern and then you casually, accidentally, of course, step aside. Whoops, that lantern snapped back. Yeah, I didn't. Or somebody, oh, I didn't see the lantern. I accidentally clicked it, leaving Diamond Prox behind.
Well, Gambit definitely ahead in this game for sure, Krepo, and this series 2-0 over MOUs. They just need to close this one out, and they will secure their spot in the LCS once again. And MOUs don't seem to have too much left in their arsenal.
Yeah, and they won that fight even without Cabashard. He's casually taking the Dragon, while the rest of the remainder of the Gambit lineup is moving over to Baron. So looking to hop over the wall. Walked there. I think he failed it. I think one of his teammates pinged him out as well. Ha, you failed getting over the wall. So yeah, no idea why. Otherwise, he would have walked there. They're starting the Baron now. They have good vision control. Again, look at this double pink ward set of 2 wards in front. It is textbook the way to do it, but at least Gambit are taking the necessary precautions, forcing Mousesports to be so afraid to face take that this Baron is gone. They took Dragon, they took Baron. They're looking to take a lot more inhibitors, and they're looking to take game 3 in this best of 5.
From that one play, like everything that Rammus was building towards was getting that engaged with the home guard, with the teleport, and it just didn't work out because Gosu shut him down. And now Dan is forced to wait for that teleport once again. The entire team is just waiting for that cooldown to make anything happen, but because it took so long to get to that point, they were already so far behind. Even if he does get an engage down, I'm not sure how much it's going to help, and there's always that front line to stay in front of him as well.
Yeah, and this is just... yeah, borderline disgusting at this point. You have 50% of the gold that Mousesports have accrued is the lead to Gambit, so they have 1.5 times the gold. Look at Shallons, he's taking notes. Game 3, you can probably write down victory. He's actually acting, by the way. He's not writing down anything right now. He's like, notes, what can we improve? Well, nothing for this game. Well, minor improvements obviously possible, but overall I think he could be a happy coach.
I'm in, I'm out.
Yeah. Dan is watching Cabochard take the inhibitor. That is what Mousesports has been reduced to. Overall, they've shown progression though in Challenger Series. Let's not downplay it too much. They did better than was expected. So if you would have asked every Challenger critic and analyst overall, was Mousesports going to get here? People didn't even count on them getting here, so they played above their level and they did fantastic in some sort of strategies, but they are clearly not yet ready for the LCS and found themselves outmatched. Kudos to them for trying. And then going in, sacrificial Rammus, it didn't work out. I like that he went back for some sort of comfort pick because you really need desperate times.
Desperate measures.
Call for desperate Rammuses overall. It just didn't quite work out. That first initial teleport didn't hit the mark, and ever since it started snowballing downhill.
Yeah, and we did see him coming in. He had very good pathing, managed to get around all of those minions, but once he arrived, it was just such an easy play. Like, you can see the Rammus coming in from a mile away. Now the teleport's up, but the Rammus, unfortunately, is not. The top turret is being sieged in by Gambit. They have the Baron buff. Those minions aren't going to die. Bean2 just hovering around the area. It's only a matter of time before a hook lands, just like that, onto Mountain. He'll be going down. Cedrin is trying to retreat away from his base, and everyone just wants this kill. Screw finishing the game. I want to pad my stats. Here comes the teleport in from Dan, and he immediately just decides better of it. Just nothing in this composition is working out. They never hit their power points, and Jinx never got rolling. Yeah,
Cabochard facing here for the home guard. Teleports coming out. Gambit, tribute to Moscow 5. See hero, kill hero. See tower, kill tower. They're looking to finally close out this game and save their spot in the European LCS.
Yeah, Gambit are shutting Mouse out of this game. That's the first kill of this one to close it out. Gambit come in and reclaim their LCS spot in the 2016 Spring Split.
Clean cut victory overall. 3-0, clean sweep here. Playing around one of the stronger players, Cabochard, while not losing anything on the other side of the map. Game 1 was the closest of all these games, honestly, because there we actually had a potential opening in the sense that Cedrian and Mountain were pulling ahead of Pinoy and Pepper in terms of CS to poke, but then eventually Gambit masked that weakness, used it to their advantage by sending in the jungler Diamond Prox first. Why? Because Betsy was pushing. Gambit goes in with their jungler, he places a ward, suddenly Cabochard is teleporting, and we see a team play, a map-wide team play coming out of Gambit Gaming roster. And that indicated already that they were on the same page together and overall had a strategic edge over Mousesports, and it manifested itself even more in Game 3 and absolutely in Game 3.
And that just makes me so excited for Gambit and what they can achieve potentially in 2016, as well as Mouse. So many improvements from that team. They were 2-8 in the Spring Split and came in as the 4th seed and went all the way to the finals in Challenger. Mouse can be proud of what they've achieved this season. And moving forward, they can achieve so much more. It's great to see what they've done with the team. But ultimately, not right now is their time to make the LCS, and Gambit have shown why they were a superior team.
Yeah, as the LCS gets more competitive over time, there is no shame in trying and failing. Obviously, Mousesports played beyond or above their means, beyond their means, honestly, getting in this position. They showed some sort of brilliance in the sense that they had the right approach. Trying to master one strategy to at least get into this position. That's what they did. They played around towers a lot and mostly dragons later on. But then once you actually prepare for this match and you have these couple of weeks, you really need to get more strategic depth because otherwise it's too easy to play around. And they didn't find an answer, and that's what worries them for me, for Cabochard. Because we know Gambit's going to play around Cabochard. It is more than pick and bans, and mostly it is the way Gambit was pathing their jungle around the map, freeing up Diamond Prox around the level 4, 5, 6 level mark to be always in the top side of the map or bot side if that's where Cabochard was. And Beansu was playing 2v1. Malphite, Maokai just doesn't quite work 2v1. He got pressured out, eventually snowballed Same story every series.
Yeah, I'm still a little sad we didn't see Binsu on a carry. I mean, towards the end of the season, he was playing tanks all the time. Then he went onto the carries and did super well. The Hecarons we saw, the Fizz even. But against Kabashar, they just ultimately went for those tank picks. Either way, something that we could see for the future. We are going to toss to Quickshot on stage to hear from a few victorious